Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. We'll get started with this criminal jury charge. It's short, it'll get our fingers moving, and here we go. Ready? The bailiffs are about to take an oath that I want you to take note of. They are to take an oath that they are forbidden to communicate with any member of the jury on any subject touching the merits of the case. They may not talk to you about the case. You are never to reveal how the jury stands on the question of guilt or innocence until after you have reached a verdict. You may not reveal how you stand even to the court. It is proper to add the caution that nothing said in these instructions and nothing in any form of verdict prepared for your convenience is to suggest or to convey in any way or manner any intimation as to what verdict I think you should find. What the verdict shall be is the sole and exclusive duty and responsibility of the jury. Upon retiring to the jury room, you will first select one of your number to act as your foreperson. That person will preside over your deliberations and will speak for you in court. A form of verdict has been prepared for your convenience. You will take this form, which has been prepared for you, with you to the jury room. When you have reached your verdict, you will have your foreperson fill in that form. Your foreperson will date it and sign it. This will be the verdict upon which you have agreed unanimously. You will then return with it to the courtroom. Members of the jury, those are the instructions. I hope you have listened carefully. At this time, I'm going to excuse the two alternate jurors because the jury has now been charged and will commence to deliberate. At this time, you will retire to the jury room, and any further communication with the court will be through the bailiff. Let's try this literary now. It's called A Doctor Testifies. Ready? Here we go. Inside our lungs, there are some little tiny balloon-like sacs, sort of like membranes. They are very thin. Oxygen gets down into those little balloons. The oxygen actually passes through that wall or through that membrane into the blood vessel, which is on the other side of it. That is how we get oxygen into our bloodstream. At the same time that happens, our bloodstream sends carbon dioxide from the bloodstream back into the lungs so that when we breathe out carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is just another gas in the air, just like oxygen is, so we breathe in oxygen. It gets into our bloodstream. Carbon dioxide goes into the lungs from the bloodstream, and then we breathe out, getting rid of that carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a waste product that our body develops as it uses up oxygen. It needs to get rid of the carbon dioxide. If we do not get rid of the carbon dioxide, then it builds up in our bloodstream. When that happens, it makes the blood very acid. When the blood becomes very acid, it makes the other parts, the other tissues of the body acid also. I am talking about the kidneys, the liver, and the brain. Now, the way our bodies are built, there is a certain balance between acid and alkalinity. There can only be so much acid in order for all the parts of our body to work normally. If our body becomes too acidic, then things don't work normally. Cells of the body, like brain cells, kidney cells, or any other kind of cells, don't work right. Building up carbon dioxide in the body makes it more acid and leads to the body not working normally. So we have to get rid of this acid. Let's see, there was one word in here that I thought we might want to practice. Let's see, where is that? Alkalinity. So we have alkaline, and this is alkalinity. A-L-K-A-L-I-N-I-T-Y. Alkalinity. All right. Good practice. Now let's try some more jury charge. And this is a jury charge that we were in the middle of. The subject is evaluating evidence. Ready? Here we go. I want to stress that the guilt of the defendant is not to be inferred because of facts proven which are inconsistent with his guilt, but on the contrary, before that there can be a verdict of guilty, you must believe from all the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the facts proven are inconsistent with his innocence. If two conclusions can reasonably be drawn from the evidence, one of innocence and one of guilt, you should adopt the former. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the punishment provided by law for the offense charged in the indictment is a matter exclusively within the province of the court. It is my obligation, therefore, to direct you not to consider the matter of punishment in arriving at an impartial verdict as to the guilt or innocence of the defendant. Your responsibility is solely to determine the guilt or innocence of the accused on the evidence before you and in accordance with the law as given to you in these instructions. I repeat that the matter of punishment is one committed under the law to the attention of the court alone. I would ask you and direct you to consider each of the statements which I have made in this charge, not merely in itself, but as related to all other points covered by the charge. In other words, consider my charge as a whole. I suggest that your first order of business when you come together in the jury room is to elect or select from your membership a foreman or forewoman to preside over your deliberations. Some more literary material. The subject of this article is called What I Learned When My Tech Toys Were Stolen. Ready? Here we go. Good lessons can come in the least expected ways. My latest tech lesson involved the value of backup to the cloud. My home was recently burglarized. A burglar, aka dirtbag, broke in while we were upstairs sleeping, taking not only my beloved iPad, my Kindle, a myriad of other items, but also our sense of security. After calling the police, who was the next person I called? My insurance agent. My mother, my best friend. Nope, it was Mike, my IT genius. I realized with a V8 slap to the forehead that with a simple swipe on the iPad, my email was accessible. Mike was up early at home, so he was immediately on task. First, he changed my email password, which also secured the remote access program I use to log in to the office server, log me in. Then Mike asked me if I wanted him to send a wipe command to the iPad, which would make it unusable to Dirtbag. Me, yeah, let's do that. Now, if Mike could swipe my iPad remotely, could Amazon do the same for my Kindle? After all, Dirtbag was now the proud new owner of my Kindle library. If you've ever dealt with Amazon, and who hasn't, then you know what great customer service they have. I called the 800 number, talked to a very friendly rep, and told him I had 2 requests. One, could he explode my Kindle, preferable with indelible ink, but a light, harsh electrical shock would also suffice. And 2, could I download my Kindle's content to my laptop? Although amused, he said no explosion shock option was available, but he could send a code to wipe it and render it useless. And yes, I could download a program to my laptop and have access to my entire library. Me, yay, let's do that. It is very empowering to hit back. Dirtbag now has 2 interesting paperweights instead of my tech toys. Now for the happy ending. All booty was recovered, and because IT genius Mike had recently updated my iPad's iOS and backed it up on my office desktop, he had it restored and functioning in minutes. Mike added a passcode which stops Dirtbag at the front door. He also turned on the iCloud feature, which backs up my most treasured apps, photos, and documents daily without me having to remember a thing. I also added the app Locate My iPhone, which works on all iDevices and has been very instrumental in helping the police nab the bad guys nationwide. And Amazon emailed me the next day offering condolences on the loss of said Kindle, and also including a hyperlink to restore everything if it was recovered. I would be reading that novel comfortably in bed tonight. Postscript. Genius Mike loves company. After returning from NCRA's Real-Time System Administrator workshop, I asked Mike to implement a tip I received from the other genius Mike Miller. He wrote a simple command for my laptop that would, while shutting down, back up any new files in my CAT software directly to an 8G memory card, like in a camera, automatically. As in, I don't have to remember to do this either. For me, the smartest tools are the ones that just happen, that are on a schedule, and that I don't have to think about. I am thanking my lucky clouds these days, and guys named Mike. Let's see what else we have in the way of literary practice. This is called Wheels Slowly Spinning. What's your motivation? Ready? Here we go. If you could do anything with your life, what would it be? What would you really do with your time, your heart, your ears, and your hands? Would you share your court reporting skills with individuals who are waiting to hear from you? Would you work in court? Would you focus on specialty freelance reporting? Would you really work with attorneys? Yes, I ask that question. Many of us have enjoyed the thrill of working with attorneys, and many still do now. Would you provide CART? Would you learn sign language to have the ability to share your top shelf skills to communicate with all your consumers? Would you learn about the little d world, big D, oral deaf, late deafened, and hard of hearing children and adults? Would you caption? Would you be able and willing to caption during the evenings, weekends, and holidays? It goes with the territory for many broadcast captioners. I know captioners who have shared with me that they spent years writing down the hill or in the basement or upstairs away from their family, yet were able to hear family laughter and loud voices. Would they do it all again? Many state they would. And there will be individuals who will read this column, tilt their heads, and think, I am doing what I really want to do. I am. To that I say, bravo. And what is the motivation to stay in the trench? What is the motivation to continue to reach up and out? The first time I was told it takes more energy to stay where you are than to move forward, I was stunned. Has anyone shared this with you? Are you a student now sitting in the same class or parked online at home within the same speed building class for way too long? Words I hear often. What would you do to really move up and away from the chair that now may have roots? When we know that what our motivation is for performing the task we are sharing, my opinion here, we are able to buck up and to stretch just a little more. When we know why we are sharing or seeking to accomplish the court reporting schooling and professional work we now provide, we find the ability to embrace challenges. Yes, there may be moments when nothing is right, as stated by someone I am coaching now. Okay, was my professional reply. Then we both laughed. Yes, if you could do anything with your skills, what would you do? Have you made a list to find out what that anything is? Have you listed what you would have to learn, what you would need to finish to accomplish that list? I know people like the term bucket list. If those words work for you, great. Back to some jury charge practice. Excuse me. The subject of this jury charge is recovery under Federal Tort Claims Act. Ready? Here we go. This is a suit under the Federal Tort Claims Act to recover money damages from the United States on account of the death of one Crowley caused by negligent operation of traveling cranes by various government employees in a federal arsenal located in Massachusetts. The act makes the United States liable for the negligence of its employees under circumstances where the United States, if a private person, would be liable to the claimant in accordance with the law of the place where the act or omission occurred. That provision makes the law of Massachusetts govern the liability of the United States for this tort. The Massachusetts Death Act, in relevant part, provides that a person whose agents or servants by negligence cause the death of another not in his employment or service shall be liable in damages in the sum of not less than $2,000 nor more than $20,000 to be assessed with reference to the degree of his culpability or of that of his agents or servants. The assessment of damages with reference to the degree of culpability of the tortfeasor rather than with reference to the amount of pecuniary loss suffered by the next of kin makes those damages punitive in nature. That has been the holding of the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts. The Tort Claims Act, however, provides that the United States shall be liable in the same manner and to the same extent as a private individual under like circumstances, but shall not be liable for interest prior to judgment or for punitive damages. If, however, the law of the state provides for damages only, punitive in nature, the United States shall be liable for actual or compensatory damages measured by the pecuniary injuries resulting from such death to the persons respectively for whose benefit the action was brought. So some words you might want to practice. We had pecuniary injuries, pecuniary injuries, punitive, tortfeasor, and that's actually hyphenated, tort-feasor, all right, we will get back to that one. For now, that will conclude our literary and jury charge practice.